What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cav Show 2021, baby. It's finally here. Obviously, looking back at 2020, a crazy year, right? Dealing with COVID, dealing with all the riots, all the hatred, all the evil that our society is giving to us day in and day out. And I'm trying to think, when is it going to end? When is the hatred and racism going to end? And I get it. There is such thing as peaceful protest. I get that. 100%. But most of the times when we see in the media now, these protests, they're not peaceful at all. When I see guys getting beat up by other dudes out in the street, not just cops involved. I'm talking about just guys getting in fights. People killing each other. We saw in Wisconsin, people dying from gunshots. People are bringing guns to protest. And I have a huge problem with that. To me, what is that telling me? When people show up to a protest with a gun, to me, that's telling me one thing on their mind is violence. Is they're gonna shoot when things don't go their way. That's what that's telling me. So to me, when people go to protest now in 2021, we should have bring a weapon. To me, that is horrible. And we even see it. We're seeing people getting tackled by policemen, but sometimes it's for no reason. And I get that, police brutality to me, and let's not just blame the cops, all cops, because there are some good cops out there, good-hearted cops that really help people, that save people's lives. And then we do have the crooked side, the crooked cops that will kill no matter what, that'll get away with murder. That happens. That's part of the system. And I think the system 100% is rigged in a way. And it's really controlled by greed and evil. That's what it boils down to. That our society today, present day, is boiled down to greed and evil. That's what it is right now. And it's been that way before we even existed, before your parents existed, before their parents, and so on and so forth. We're talking thousands upon thousands of years of greed and evil. Just now we're in 2021 and we're kind of battling the same situations. What if we were to fast forward back to the 1960s when Martin Luther King was here? What would Martin Luther King today say if he was living in 2021? He would be like, you know what, Cap? Honestly, not too much has changed. We're still battling the same situations. We're still battling racism. We are, day in and day out. I believe that's what Martin Luther King would say to me right now. He would say, not much has changed since the 1960s, which is crazy to think, right? 1960s was so long ago. But yet we're still battling the same problems that in the 1960s to present day in 2021 right now. And I'm trying to think why. Why are we still battling racism? I thought that was of the past. And I honestly, straight up, I didn't understand racism until I got to high school. Then I realized, there is racism. I didn't know what it was. I didn't. I just never understood it until I was with one of my friends and we were at a traveling basketball on a trip, right, out of state. And anyway, these guys were calling him names, and then they ended up calling me names too as well because I was with them and he was my friend. And at the time, I was like, what does that mean and stuff? So he had to explain it to me, and I'm thinking, wow, dude, and this was years ago. This was over a decade ago, when this happened. For real, this was 2009. So to me, it was just wow, 2009 to 2021 right now, they're still the same situations. People are still calling each other the names. And I don't even want to get into that, which is horrible, right? But, when we go to the protest, for example, the protest that recently happened by the White House, the Capitol building, to me, it's just what's going on? And all it takes is a couple people to go crazy, and then the whole crowd goes crazy, and then everybody else just got moshes. We saw what happened in the Capitol building, breaking. And my whole thing is, what's the point? What is that proving to us? We're destroying businesses. We're destroying our own people on our own land. We don't want to see another civil war. We don't. For real. Do we want to see another civil war? No. We killed our own people in Civil War. And it's kind of, and a lot of people say, you know what, Cap, history repeats itself. It does. It continues to repeat itself. And I'm thinking we don't want a war. Period. Not just in our own backyard, but I'm talking as a global scale. And we're seeing the riots here in America. Worse than ever. When I see people getting hit by bats, when I see people getting pepper sprayed, when I see people getting shot on live TV, bro, getting shot right in front of our eyes. And this isn't anything new of people dying and getting shot, right? Now it's just we have the technology today to see it. We have it up front right then and there. Hats off to technology and where it's going. Obviously, in the future, no doubt. I believe technology is the way to go. It is. And I love everything about technology. Obviously, the only downside about technology is obviously the separating between humans, like human-to-human contact, right? Human-to-human communication. But to me, it's just like, now it's just being televised. And honestly, since the 1960s, nothing's really changed, bro. We're still battling hatred every day. People are getting targeted every day. Every single day it happens, And I get targeted for certain things. For example, I look like a guy that would smoke weed, right? Long hair, shaggy hair, poofy hair. Oh, this guy smokes dope. You're a stoner. They just label me that right then and there. Society labels me as a stoner because I have long curly hair. Isn't that funny? I'm thinking, what? Why? Do you know what I'm saying? Why do they do that? Why does society label people? And it's never going to stop that way. And I hope it does. When people label people, for example, somebody killed somebody, well, he's a murderer. Obviously, that was his action he took. That's not his identity. That wasn't his identity, was to kill people. That was his behavior. He was really misunderstood. He was really twisted in the mind at that time of the murder. Now, I'm not giving you a pass for that. No. I do believe when all of us humans are done on planet Earth, when our time is up, I believe we will have to pay for what we've done wrong to others. No doubt. We will. So when I see people out here killing each other, eventually they will have to pay for that. And if they get away with murder in court, that's fine. But I believe when we step to God in our final hour of life here on earth, we're going to have to step to him and say, you know what, man up to our mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Man up to all the mistakes we made. But my whole thing is dealing with society right now in 2021. Where are we going in the future? That's the question, right? Where are we going? Are we going more towards peace? Are we going more towards working together as Americans, building the country? No, we're not right now. Obviously 2020 really taught us a lot. Obviously dealing with COVID, I get that. But more towards the protest. And I support protest. I support peaceful protest. I don't support violence. I don't support people getting ran over by cars, getting killed. This was last year, I believe, where someone ran over a person and killed them. To me, it's just like, why? You know what I'm saying? Why are we fighting each other? And I really think like I said, it boils down to hatred, no doubt. Hatred, evil, greed, all those things mixed into a bowl, and it just stirs up, and everybody just goes crazy, right? But there are such thing as peaceful protests, no doubt. But it's crazy to me that, we saw at the Capitol building recently in Washington, D.C., all these Trump supporters, right? Going crazy and stuff, and I'm thinking, wow, what if it was different, right? What if it was completely not Trump supporters? What if they were just, a bunch of liberals? Let's just say a bunch of liberals. What would have happened? Do you think the police would have maybe did something differently or treated somebody else? Where it's funny because, in certain towns, we see these protests and literally people are dying, right? But, at the Capitol building recently, we saw people getting escorted out, breaking into the Capitol building. Getting escorted like they're VIP. Just go right in and take whatever you want, dude. This is America. You can do whatever you want, right? You can take whatever you please. To me, it's crazy. People bashing in windows, taking out businesses, not just at the Capitol building. We saw all last year in 2020. We saw in small towns, all the business being broken into, all the looters. To me, I disagree with that. I don't. I 100%. I disagree with people stealing and looting, but I agree with peaceful protest. To make a statement for change in America. My whole thing is, when is racism gonna end, though? That's the whole huge question. And sadly, I got to talk to one of my friends from the East Coast. He was telling me, sadly, Cap, racism never gonna end. It's never gonna end. It's systematic racism and it's built in people. And it's really built in your mind. It's really controls you. And I think a lot of these racist people that we're seeing on TV today, a lot of those people they're raised racist. We have to understand that. But that's not an excuse. But I know some people personally that were raised racist that aren't racist anymore. You get what I'm saying? But a lot of these people who are on TV, white supremacists especially, these guys out there right now, they to me, those are the problem right there. That's the problem. You know, that we're separating, we're crossing the line. You know, when we see white supremacists out there doing these type of things, breaking into buildings, you know, punching people for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So to me, you know, and I get it, you know, when people are protesting, for instance, like the Breonna Taylor situation, you know, people have a right to protest for that. You know, a lot of people think that Breonna Taylor was murdered cold-blooded in her own apartment. You know, and we could get down to the nitty-gritty of the story. Why were they there? What happened? What was the whole situation? But we do know the cops came in and killed Breonna Taylor, cold-blooded. To me, that's crazy. You know, and to me, we have to understand as a society today that there is a such thing as white privilege out there. There is. I hate to say it. You know, for instance, white privilege, like, for instance, the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. You know, the kid who brought an AR-15 who ended up killing 2 people in self-defense. Got, you know, no, he is not doing any time, right? Okay, I get that. You know, I say white privilege because, you know, say he was a Hispanic or a black man walking with an AR-15 down the street. You don't think the cops are going to say anything? You think he's just going to let him go? Like, for real? You think that's really going to happen? No, we see it today. You know, we see people getting targeted today. That's why I think Kyle Rittenhouse situation was 100% white privilege. Because if he was Hispanic or black, he would have been confronted by the police at least. You know, best case scenario, he would have been confronted. Worst case scenario, he would have been shot right in the street if he was Hispanic or black or a different race that's not white. Seriously, that's the real shit. That's truth. You know, and the truth hurts. It does. But to me, we have to get it. We have to get the truth across and change it. To me, it's crazy. I never would have thought that, right? I never would have thought that he would just skate off no time. You know? To me, it was like, it's kind of just a slap on the wrist. Yeah, we get it. You brought an AR-15 to a protest. That's fine, dude. You could bring AR-15s illegally to a protest. To me, come on. You know, and I can get into the government. I can get into all that. No, I don't want to get into the government. Really, I want to get into our society. Where are we going right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. We have to ask ourselves, are we going to hatred, separation? You know, we want to be separated from people. We don't like people. That's where we're going to go. To me, I really think America, we need to start pursuing each other. We really do. We need to come together. That's how America was built, together. You know what I'm saying? Like, people worked as teams. Now it's really individual based now. It's like, hey, me versus the world type attitude now. Especially at these protests. It's me versus the world. And I think that's completely wrong. You know, obviously, we see it first sight. We do. We see it, and to me, it's amazing. It's amazing to me how people get stereotyped so much. It's crazy. You know, in the Black Lives Matter movement. And we seen a black man carry out a white guy who was, like, badly beaten and bleeding. He carried and helped them up. To me, that's the type of stuff that we need in the world. You know, we need people helping each other out. You know, but now all the media wants to show us is the bad sides, right? We always want to get the downsides of the story. You know, where's all the uplifting information now? Do you know what I'm saying in the news? In the past 5 years, you know, I think really the media's really given us all the bad things. You know, we're going to feed you guys bad things. We're going to feed your ears. We're going to feed your minds bad things right now. You know, and that's what they're doing. And they're succeeding because a lot of the people in America today, they don't like what they're doing. They don't. They're not at peace. They're not. You know, some people have to wake up in the morning and think, wow, am I gonna make it? Or am I gonna get shot in cold blood? You know, for real, that goes through people's minds. You know what I'm saying? They're scared. For real, they're fear. And I think that's why I disagree with some of the media today is they put fear in people. And fear is one of the worst things you can have. You know, fear eats your soul alive. You know, fear, hatred, racism, all those things are all mixed together. And we're starting to see it right now. And my whole thing is, when is it going to stop, bro? You know, to me, we need peace. We do. We need peace and love in the world. And right now, we're not doing that. So I think moving in the future, well, obviously, we need to change some things. You know, obviously what's going on dealing with the political world, it's crazy. You know, the politics to me, it's just like, you know, just because you have an opinion, does that make you a politician though? Really? Just because you have an opinion. To me, there's so much more to politics, obviously, than opinions. But I think when it boils down to it, it's all from an opinion. For real, with politics, they can tell us whatever they want. It's really boiled down to a situation and what their views and who's going to have the majority vote rule. Period. Whether you're Democrat or Republican. But overall, I think obviously the world, like I said, we need to come together. And we're starting to see at these protests. I've never been to a protest personally. I would love to go. I really would. Obviously, I wouldn't want to go right this second because I see it now where people are getting ran over. People are getting shot. People are getting beat up. People are getting tear gassed. We had another protester out there that lost his eye, completely blind of one eye, dude. This is crazy, dude. People are going crazy. They're letting hatred control them. We start to see that. And what has hatred done in the past, right? Let's look at the history all the way up to right now in 2021. What has hatred done for us? It's done nothing. It's done nothing but destroy. That's all it's done. It's destroyed humans. It's destroyed lives. It's destroyed towns. It's destroyed cities, dude. It's destroyed countries. That's what hatred has done. And I'm up here thinking, what are we going to do to fix the hatred? And I think ultimately we need love, no doubt. We need love, but my whole thing is, sadly, but it's part of the system that racism and hatred, that's kind of like feeding the fire right now. That's what's leading the country. It's not the president right now. It's hatred and evil that's leading not just America, but the world. In a global scale, hatred and evil's rolling right now. They're feeding off this. They're feeding off the riots. They want us to fight. They want you to lose your mind. They want you to go crazy. They want you to get arrested. They want you to do time. They don't care. You think the government cares? No, they don't. They could care less because the government, at the end of the day, they're going to get their piece of the cake no matter what. If you don't like it, that's fine. If I don't like it, that's fine. They're still going to get a piece of the cake. The government always wins at the end of the day, which to me, it sucks. I don't like the government. I'm for America, but not the government. The institution, the people that created everything that's leading up to right now, this very second. I have a huge problem with that. For real. I have a huge problem with that. And a lot of people, can say, oh, I don't support this type of group. I don't support the LGBT group. I don't support this. Like, to me, at the end of the day, really, we have to support each other. Whether you're that group or the other group, it does not matter. We have to form into one. And really, we have to let love lead us. We have to let love lead us. That's it. And it's easy to say, right? But when we're caught up in the moment, when we're in a situation when people are going crazy, it's hard. And we're seeing it on the news right now. Like I said, back to earlier, the Capitol building. People just breaking into the Capitol building. And I'm thinking, what about the police? What are they going through? Where are they at? You know what I'm saying? And we're seeing in different cities, like Louisville, the Breonna Taylor protest, we saw rubber bullets. We saw people getting shot. But this Capitol was a different protest. And we could see that. Obviously, and we see the Confederate flags, which support slavery. We're seeing all this. We're seeing the white supremacists, and it makes sense. The cops are going to give them leverage because they're white. And that's what I said, dealing with white privilege. It sucks, but it's part of the system. It's the system. I hate the system. I didn't design it. You didn't design it. The people who designed it were the wealthiest people back, I want to say in the 1700s, 1800s, about 6 to 7 families. They designed all this stuff. Seriously, from the financial system to the banks to everything right now, dude. Seriously, it's crazy to me. It is. The world, we're kind of like stirred up, right? And I think obviously looking at that last year in 2020, it's in the past, dealing with the protests and everything that's happened. And now 2021, we're kind of doing the same stuff. We're still protesting. We're still breaking into places that we shouldn't be breaking into. We're still violent. We're still hitting each other. We're still fighting each other. We're still killing each other on the street. Like, when's it going to end? And if we continue to go this route, moving forward into 2022 next year, what's it going to be? Is it going to be the same problems next year that we're battling right now? That we battled in 2020? The racism, the hatred, the backslash of everything? Like, seriously, when's all this going to end? That's my whole question. But moving forward into 2021, all the way to 2022 next year, I think ultimately, like I said, we need peace. We do. And that's not the way to do it. An eye for an eye is not the way. An eye for an eye's got us lost. That's really what an eye for an eye has. For real, an eye for an eye is the loss. Blood for blood, that is not the way, dude. What has blood for blood done for us? It's killed more and more people when we do that. For real. It's killed more and more innocent lives that are being lost right now. As I'm talking right now, lives are being lost. It's crazy, right? To think about, because they believe in something, all because they believe in something, and a lot of disagreements, here and there, to me, it's just crazy. It is crazy. But what I saw in Washington, D.C., it was just, it's one of them. It's like a movie, really. It really was. It was like, I seen some of the videos and I'm thinking, bro, is this real life? Or is this like a scripted movie right here where they hired a bunch of people, to go do all this? To me, but this is real life, dude. This is happening right now. People are losing their minds, dude. Obviously, to me, it's not good to lose your mind, but I'm thinking, why? Why is that? And I think ultimately, like I said, it really boils down to greed and hatred. But my whole thing is racism ever going to end? I know I touched a little base on this. Obviously, like my buddy was saying from the East Coast, no, it's not going to end, Cap. It's still going to be here. It's going to be here even when we die. To me, that's crazy. I never would have thought that. I never would have even imagined that. I never would have imagined people hating each other just because they look differently, because of their flesh is different. You know what I'm saying? I think when we move forward, I think ultimately America and in the world, we need to move forward and really look at people who they are in the heart, not what they look like, not their flesh. That has nothing to do with it, because when us humans die on planet Earth, do you think death looks at us and say, oh, well, he had this different type of skin color? No, they don't look at the skin color. They could give a crap about that. Death could give a crap. I believe God doesn't care what we look like, dude. I really don't. Flesh is just flesh, dude. Our heart and soul is way more important than our flesh. But our society doesn't tell us that. Our society says, our flesh is what goes. So to me, it's just like, we have to stop it. And I do, the positives out of this right now is definitely our society right now, our generation, the youth, the people in their early 30s, the people in their 20s, even in their teens right now. We are the generation to change all this. We can do it. We can do it. Obviously, it's a uphill battle because a lot of these people who are racist are older, right? They come from the 70s, the 60s, that time. So I think ultimately, hopefully, our society can do that. We can change it for the better. We can stop racism. We can stop the hatred. We can stop the killing on the streets. And it starts with our generation. I believe that, ultimately. I do. I believe that because we have the technology to it, and we have the heart and commitment to do that right now in our society. For real. Back in the 80s, they didn't have the things that we have. They didn't have the social media. They didn't have the internet access. They didn't have information where we can get out the snap of our fingers. And we have that now. But I think that we could use that to our advantage. No doubt about it. But I think ultimately we need peace and love. We do. And I think ultimately, I hope racism and hatred will end in the world at some point. Because if it doesn't end, what's going to happen, Cap? Well, eventually, we will go to another war. That's what's going to happen. And I don't want to do that. I don't want a war, because when war comes, it takes a lot of money and we lose lives. Money and lives gone because of war. So to me, I don't want a war, dude. No, not at all. But if we continue to do what we're doing in our society right now, we will see another war. We will see people just shoot up other places just because they want to shoot it up. They want to kill people just because. It's like Grand Theft Auto in real life, and that's what kind of some of these riots and protests have been. It's Grand Theft Auto in real life, just like at the Capitol building recently, people breaking in, busting in windows, not caring, dude, not giving an F of what the consequences are. Do you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's crazy to think about. It is. But like I said, I believe we can end all this. And it starts with our generation, our society. We have the tools to do it, if that's the word. But we definitely do. We do. And I think overall, we need to stop all this violence and hatred. We do right now. We have to. Because if we continue to do this when Joe Biden gets in, then what's going to happen at the end of the year? Are we still going to be rioting? Are we still going to be, killing each other on the streets? Is this going to continue on time again? I hope not. So I think ultimately in America and in the world, we need peace and love, baby. It's the Clowning with Cap show. Let's go!